The first $1 million deal I ever lost wasn't because of the price. I had sent proposal to a German partner, the kind of brand whose logo I'd grown up seeing on billboards. They replied with a single word, yes. We celebrated, my way, water in a champagne glass. 3 weeks later, silence. Nothing. I felt embarrassed and lost. What just happened? Later, a colleague finally explained, in German business email, yes can sometimes mean noted, not agreement. I hadn't misread English. I had misread the human. Oh my God. That one word costed me my confidence, my identity, the deal, our company's biggest opportunity. And that's when it hit me. Globalization at its best is a peace treaty built through business. Just think about it. If you and I are making money together, we are less likely to kill each other. And here's the big picture view. The same misunderstanding that ends deals is the same misunderstanding that starts wars. So what's the single most expensive mistake you're making right now? The one you can't even see. For most founders, that mistake is cultural. 70% of international ventures fail, not because of tech, funding, product, but because of cultural blind spots. That's $2.1 trillion in value vanished. And that number is boggling. By the end of next year, half of your customers will come from cultures you don't yet understand. So the question would never be, will culture matter? It's going to be, how long before it erases you? Growing up in an Indian household, specifically as a woman, you are taught who to become even before you are allowed to ask who you are. And that fear of building someone else's version of me and living that, I chose to build beyond borders. And over the past few years, I've worked with founders from more than 120 countries, interviewing more than 100 entrepreneurs. I've noticed one interesting pattern. They're not just building differently or optimizing their pitch decks. They're playing an entire different game. They build what I call the asymmetric advantage, the edge that someone gets from understanding people and communities across border better than anyone else. So what do I mean by this? In 2024, I was negotiating with Amir, a partner from Middle East. I walked in ready to talk numbers. He offered me tea. I said, no, thank you, I'm fine. The meeting went polite and cold. The deal? Gone. Later, a colleague finally explained, when someone offers you tea here, they're not offering you a drink, they're offering you trust. By refusing, you refuse the relationship. I have seen tea as a 15-minute delay. He saw it as a foundation of trust. That moment changed everything. It hit me. You can't build trust if you don't understand what trust looks like to someone who's across the table. Your most important technology right now isn't your code. It's your cultural consciousness. And that mistake stayed with me. It made me wonder how many ideas, deals, partnerships are we quietly losing just because we never learned to read the room across cultures. So from Singapore to Sao Paulo, I gathered 21 founders and asked them one single question. What's the hardest part of scaling across borders? I expected like tech, regulations, funding, things like that. Instead, they all talked about a common thing: isolation, the fear of building alone. Harvard research shows that companies that intentionally build communities, not just audiences, outperform their competitors by 2 times in innovation and retention. Because connection isn't just a soft skill. It's a scaling strategy. And especially across cultures you don't get to meet every day. So how do we solve this? How do we make sure no one feels alone? Shan from Singapore tried something simple. She gathered 15 people from across cultures and they meet online every single month. She called it her global brain trust. And they meet not to discuss business, not at all. They discuss stories. She said in Singapore, when you introduce yourself with all the titles you've earned. It builds credibility. Her member from Denmark replied, if you do that in our meetings, it would make you sound insecure. The same words that open door in one culture are the same words that close them in another. You cannot run the software of one culture on hardware of another. You will crash every single time. And honestly, there's no Apple Care for cultural crashes. So now, every meeting Shan runs now, she starts with one question. Whose culture are we designing for? And we as Gen Zs truly believe in the concept of vibe check. Because when people feel seen, they build faster, stronger together. And that's the future. Borderless builders. Because your users will forget your slogans, your investors will forget your pitch decks, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So whenever you land, listen longer, observe deeper, tune yourself into different cultures, unless someone who's never met you looks up and says, I don't know why, but you sound like home. Thank you.